Hey fitness friends, how's it going? I got my quarantine look on, my beard is super long, my hair, I don't even know what to do with it anymore. But today we're back with another little episode. We're gonna talk about ordering energy systems. This is a question that came after I put up 2 videos on energy systems a couple weeks ago. And so I wanted to take the opportunity to address it. So hopefully by this time, most of you guys are familiar with the energy systems little graph here. So just for a quick review, we have 3 different main energy systems we have, and there are different names that are utilized to call them, but for the sake of what we're going over today, what we're gonna have is alactic, which is your super high power, short time, your lactic, which is moderate power, moderate time, and then your aerobic, which is lower power, long time. Now understand that the aerobic energy system, there's a massive spectrum to that, right? So like right now, I am in the aerobic energy system. Not very high power output, but compare the effort that I'm applying right now roughly to something like a 5K, very, very, very different, right? So either way, something that's important to know about these is that alactic energy system is a super high power, short time, and the rest to work ratio is we want rest to be 5 to 20 times the work. Okay, that's gonna be important. And then lactic is gonna be somewhere between 1 to 3, maybe even upwards of 5 times the work. And then the aerobic energy system is gonna be 1 or less than, less than 1 times the work. So those are the rest to work ratios that we're looking at. Now, how do we order these in a workout, right? And so I have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different examples, and that's these kind of put in a bunch of different scenarios, a bunch of different mixtures. Now understand that I'm putting these in A and B, right? Now you can certainly add A, B, and C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, so on and so forth, right? But for this, we're gonna try to keep it simple because most of our clients, most of the people that we're working with aren't gonna be doing all the way down to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, right? It's just not gonna happen. When we're getting that detailed, most of the time, that's gonna be for our higher level athletes, or we're working with someone that has a massive imbalance and really trying to hit the nail right on the head, okay? So we're throwing a couple different pieces at it and trying to see how that person responds. Regardless, ordering energy systems, alactic, which is our high power, lactic, which is our middle, it also has that lactic byproduct that's really kind of nasty, and then our aerobic energy system. So let's take a look at these in different orders, okay? Do they work? Do they not work, right? Do they work? Do they not work? And this way, we're giving you guys practical information on how to order these on your own, okay? So alactic and aerobic, what does that look like? Alactic is something that's short and powerful. So I have a plyometric and a 5K run, okay? Alactic and aerobic, plyometric and 5K run. Do those 2 work together? Now, we're thinking in the context of training, right? If we want to make the client, that organism, better and more durable, we want to move the needle over the long term, is this gonna make them better? And the reality is, yes, there's a lot of different mixtures that we can throw in there. What kind of plyometric, what's the tempo on the run, all those other kinds of things. Don't worry about that. But sure, let's just say that we're giving these really good efforts. This is gonna work well together, right? These things will complement each other well, okay? Now, the next thing we have is alactic and then lactic, right? Alactic, high power, short time, lactic, nasty kind of that metabolic byproduct left over. Alactic is, let's just say snatch, going for a heavy single on the snatch today. Then after that, we're going for an all-out effort, 800-meter sprint. Can these work together? The answer is yes, they can work together, right? Now, yes, I understand some of you are gonna be like, well, what happens if, they're super explosive and then the snatch, like that, kind of, that makes them tired going into the sprint? Absolutely, but we're talking kind of a general umbrella sense. Can we train these together? And will the snatch really influence the 800-meter sprint all-out effort that much? Now, unless this person is a specialist in the sprint, certainly, because at this point in time, we're so specialized that the nuances here and the explosivity here is going to fatigue what we have going on here in the 800-meter sprint. But again, umbrella term, the answer is this is good for most people. Okay, now that's the alactic as the primary, or as the A's. Now we're going to lactic as the A's. Okay, this one's good. This one's good for you CrossFitters, right? So lactic first, then alactic second. Fran 21-15-9. Okay, thrusters and pull-ups, and then B alactic max effort back squat. How do these work together? Good? Yes? No? Poor, right? They do not work well together. Oh, Dean, wait, hold on. But the sport of CrossFit, yes, you're right. The sport of CrossFit, sometimes we have to test something after an effort. This could be called pre-exhaustion in the strength and conditioning world, where we pre-exhaust ourselves going into something that's important. Understand that this is not going to make us fitter. This is not going to build our overall capacity. Okay, this is a tester, and therefore in training, not ideal. Okay, going over here, we have lactic and then aerobic. 2 minutes, max effort bike, as hard as you possibly can, right? It feels pretty similar to Fran. The difference is your center of mass is moving a lot more, so you're gonna have more heart rate variability here. But 2 minute max effort bike, as hard as you possibly can. A great test of this energy system, right? Because it's low barrier enter, low skill, and then rest a little bit and then go into a 3K row. Will this influence the 3K row? Yes, absolutely, right? That is not going to work well. Right? For me, if I were to give this a really good effort, I don't know how long it would take. It would probably take me until the next day before I could actually do a 3K row like time trial, like legit, right? And get a decent score that's comparable with what I'm capable of. I could not probably do this in the same day as that. Now, I understand there are people out there that can. That's great. That's a different adaptation. But as a general sense, as a broad sense, this does not work well together. Okay, we're going to go down a little bit further. Boom, boom. Aerobic and then lactic. Okay, what does that look like? 10-minute bike. 10 minutes on the assault bike, air bike, or Schwinn or whatever else. Then into an 800-meter run. Can these work? This depends on the fitness of the individual, right? If they have pretty dang good muscle endurance and pretty good capacity, then yeah, they could probably, it'll take time. They might have to separate these sessions. They might have to do this later in the day. But the reality is that this is mostly aerobic, this 10-minute effort. After you recover, within probably, depending on the fitness of the client, this can be done to a good effort. Now understand, we're not talking about specialists, right? If we're talking about a specialist who is running 800 meters and they're a track athlete, then certainly this is going to influence that from a motor control and from like a neurological standpoint, okay? But yeah, and I'm going to give this a soft check, but the reality is that we can do these together. Okay. The next thing here is aerobic and soft check. Okay. Aerobic and alactic. 10K run into a max effort clean. Can these be done together? Right? Can most people, as an umbrella sense, do this effort hard and then come back and be able to do this effort? And the answer is no, not really, right? Not really. Yes, all of these do depend on the person. We have to understand that based off neuromuscular efficiency, fitness, so on and so forth. But as a general sense, this is going to fatigue this too much to be able to be done in any sort of legitimate effort, okay? Now, understand that this looks different if we're working with a CrossFitter. This looks different if we're working with a track athlete, if we're working with a power lifter, so on and so forth, right? Some of these guys will avoid certain energy systems almost altogether. That's just the way it is, okay? Oh, that was kind of fun. If you guys do have questions, don't be afraid to reach out. I love this stuff. I do enjoy energy systems. This is a very simplified version. Obviously, if we were going to try to put all three in the same session, that would look very, very different. All three meaning alactic, lactic, and aerobic. It's not something I really recommend, but it is something that can be done depending on the person's fitness. Cool? All right, you guys, enjoy. Hope your quarantine is going all right, and I will see you guys later. Learn, grow.